Hello everyone, this is Tina from Tia's Treasures. Today I've got a quick unboxing of Love from Lizzie's October 2021 kit and 6 cards I made. So this kit is, I guess, a super kit, and it comes with some really nice things. I'm a little late getting this out, but it's a little late usually, the kit getting to me. I normally don't get it till the end of the month, so that's why it took me until November 4th to do a video on it. So it came with these 7 sheets of cardstock, some enamel dots, some jewels, some ribbon, some really nice peel-offs in blue and gold, some little wooden like mushrooms, some sequins, and some really nice pattern paper. I'm not going to show you every sheet, but I'm going to kind of fan it out a little bit so you get an idea of what's in the kit. Now some of these look like they have glitter on it, but it's a picture of glitter. It's not real glitter, so that's showing you there the different pattern papers. They're just single-sided, so you don't have to choose. It also comes with some washi tape and this stamp kit that's got some dies that cut out the different sentiments. And we also have this really big ephemera kit along with some more peel-offs that I picked up on the side there. For this first card, I took some of the pattern paper and some of the kind of like a burgundy brown cardstock, and I took a little piece of ephemera with a little cute little fairy, and I've also got a sentiment that says, "You make the world more magical." Now, this kit came with 4 sentiments, and I use all of them, and then I had to pull in a couple sentiments of my own. It took a few hours of looking for a few of the sentiments that would match this kit. I knew I had them, I just didn't know where they were at. So I got a A2 card base, and it is cut 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and that's what I've got the cardstock on the card base is measuring, and the pattern paper is measuring, what is that, 4 by 5 1/4. So we've got a nice little frame going around it. Now I am popping up the little fairy, and I get all the little foam tape on it, and right before I put the little fairy down, I decide that it needs something. So I end up pulling in some of the Love from Lizzie peel-offs. Now, when I was looking at this footage, it didn't look like my peel-offs matched the card that I put them on. See, it's this little coppery colored, but in real life, I think it matches pretty well. Pretty good. You know, I am not a grammar teacher. You'll have to tell me which one's right. At any rate, I think it looks just fine. So I've got these are pinstripes, and I've got 2 of the same size, and in the middle I put a real skinny one. So we've got like 3 pinstripes just kind of going down the side. I've got a habit of putting like stripes of card paper, pattern paper, and different things. I like to put a strip of it down on the left side of the card. And in this case, instead of using more pattern paper, I'm just using the peel-offs, and I'm kind of making a little decoration right there, right on the left-hand side of the card. And I'm going to put my little fairy right on top of that. And then for the sentiment, "You make the world more magical," I just put that centered below our little fairy. And I still think this card needs a little more, so I'm going to sparkle up the little fairy wings and her little hairdo. And she's so cute. And then I'm going to bring in a few of the little gems that came in this kit. And it's got like some gold gems. It's got different like jewel tones. And I debated using the enamel dots, but then I decided I was going to use the little jewels. So yeah, I'm popping the little gold ones on here. I've like had insomnia lately, so if I start babbling, you know why, or I lose my train of thought, all sorts of things. If I was smart, I'd just probably put some background music on, but the type of background music I like is all licensed. You know, you, I wouldn't get away with like putting the Beatles on or anything else. They'd come after me. So for this second card, it's got this cute little bear drinking coffee. And it took me forever to find a sentiment that went with the coffee. Now, I think you could have bought some add-ons that came with the kit that had some matching sentiments. But the only add-ons I bought from this kit were some extra peel-offs this month. I was trying to be frugal as you can be when like I belong to 500 card kits. So I took this stripe of pattern paper, as you can see here. Like I said, I like putting it on the left side of my card. I'm going to have to come up with some different type of designs. These are probably getting a bit tedious. And I'm just cutting off where it's a little long. Now on the inside of this card, I put some white paper so you can write your little sentiment down on it without having to get like any special gel pens that show up on brown. And I am taking some of that real pretty gold and blue peel off. This one came with the kit, and I am putting it on both sides of the pattern paper. Now I'm using a pattern paper with a chevron design, and it looks like it's got some glitter on it, but it does not. It's just the picture of the, it's kind of cool the way they do that. And here I've got this second piece I put in. It doesn't have to be continuous because the bear is going to cover that up. And so I just center my little bear and my little sentiment that says today's plan, consume coffee and be awesome. The sentiment is from Stampin' Up. It's a card kit that I didn't even, a stamp set that I didn't remember having. Like I said, I'm tired. I'm tripping over my words. It's only like 7 o'clock at night, and it's like, I'm ready for bed. But I think this sentiment is so cute. You can substitute the word coffee for chocolate or cocktails. You know, in my case, usually it would be cocktails instead of coffee, but I figure this little bear is drinking coffee, or it could be tea. I don't have anything that has any tea sentiments, so coffee it is. And I'm putting a few little enamel dots down on this card to finish it off. Now that was card number 2. Now for card number 3, I've got a similar design, and I am taking a piece of white cardstock and I'm putting it inside the card base, which I used a piece of the blue cardstock that came with the kit. And now I am taking a piece of the pattern paper, and again I'm putting it kind of to the left hand side here. Just gluing that down. My glue is, I'm just having all sorts of problems with my glue. I think I've complained a few times in previous videos. I might have some more glue coming. I just hate to keep buying it when I've got a lot of different types of glue here. They just all want to fight with me. I think I'm going to try maybe seeing if I can thin them down a bit. I think they're just too thick. So I've got this piece of white pearlescent cardstock that I used an oval die for out of my stash, and I just cut that out, and I'm going to pop that up, and I'm going to glue my little fairy on top of the scalloped oval. Now, the reason I am using so many fairies is because, like I said, the 4 sentiments that came in the kit, they're all fairy based, and I wanted to use all 4 of them because I cut them out, and I just love when a kit has dies that cut out the sentiments. And because we had the 4 dies that cut out all 4 sentiments, I was determined to use them all. It kind of made some of the cards similar, though, because we had 4 different fairies, and, well, we had more than 4 fairies, but we had 4 fairies that each came with 4 girls with different hair color and different skin tones, and they were doing 4 different poses, if that makes sense. So here I am, just gluing down my little fairy and my white pearlescent oval. I kind of wanted to ground her a little bit. And the sentiment on this says, "Thank you very much," which is so cute. And I'm just taking my little Spectrum Noir glitter pen, and I'm just sparkling up her hair and her wings, just like you saw me do to the first card. And now I am going to take a few of the little gemstones here and put those on the card. There's a few ones that look almost opalescent. They're iridescent and opalescent, and just that almost rhymes. And so I'm going to put 5 of those on this card, and that is card number 3. Now for card number 4, I've got this mini slimline I'm going to make. I love making mini slimlines out of 6x6 pattern paper. It just so, they end up like 6x3. Now, as you can see, I had this sheet of pattern paper out, and I accidentally scored it going the wrong way. So my leaves would have been pointing in the wrong direction. I probably could have used it anyway, but I wanted my leaves to go a certain orientation. And once I scored it wrong, I had to go back into the pattern paper and look for some more pattern paper that would work. There was like 3 or 4 different sheets with the leaves on. I didn't get the exact color I wanted because you saw I scored that wrong. But I decided to use the paper that's got kind of like some pale pinks and purples on it. Now this time I was real careful to make sure I scored it going the right way. And, check and double check. And so because this pattern paper is not real thick, I am going to take a piece of white cardstock and glue it in to give, a little bit of extra stability. Now the inside's white, so we didn't need it to write on, but I just didn't want to have a real flimsy card. And once I'm done gluing on the mushrooms on the top with some foam tape and all my different elements on the front of the card, we've got enough stability there that it doesn't really matter. Now I'm just trying to figure out which way I want these little mushrooms. So we've got like your regular button mushrooms, and I think that one's kind of like a fairy tale shiitake almost. I mean, I don't know that much about mushrooms, but if I had to guess, that's what I would think the flat little mushroom is. So I glue the 2 ones on the end down flat, and the center 2 I pop up with some foam tape. And I'm just kind of taking my time, putting my foam tape down, getting everything where I want it. Got to make sure I put it on the stem, though, because we wouldn't want that to be too flimsy. And now I am going to put, backtracking, After I had put down my mushrooms, I noticed that I really didn't leave a whole lot of room for my sentiment. If, it was too big to put on top of a mushroom. So I decided that fussy cutting it out might work. And I got lucky and I was able to put the sentiment right at the top of this card after I fussy cut it out. Now this is sped up a little bit because I don't fussy cut this quick. It doesn't look that quick watching, but compared to how slow I fussy cut it out, it is pretty quick. So the sentiment says, wishing you much happiness, which I think you could have got this sentiment as well with a different stamp set for an add-on on the kit. But again, I didn't buy any add-ons, being smart. So trying to figure out where I want that sentiment, and I still end up putting it right at the top where I've got that big bald spot. And now I am going to bring in my little glitter pen and glitter up these mushrooms a bit. Give them a little bit of sparkle. I do think they look really good on the pattern paper that I ended up accidentally using. I think there was a little bit more contrast on the original sheet of pattern paper, but this one is a little bit more matchy-matchy as far as the different tones. And now I am just taking a few of the glitter dots and putting them on the card. I end up with 5 of them just kind of scattered throughout the card. If you watch any of my videos, you can tell I do 2 things all the time. I put stripes down on the left-hand side of the card, and I put enamel dots or jewels on the right-hand side of the card in the upper right-hand corner. You can almost like do shots with my predictability. So this is card number 4. Now this one I am using some of the leafy pattern paper again. It's just got a different design or different color. And the reason I pulled that in is because this last sentiment on this card says autumn wishes and fairy kisses. So I figured we kind of needed something that was autumny. And what's more autumny than like fallen leaves? So I have my little piece of pattern paper. Now this pattern paper, I originally had it going in the other direction as well. Now that wasn't a mistake on my part. What it was me deciding that I wanted a landscape card instead of a portrait card. And so I did end up with a slice going down my pattern paper. But I was able to like butt it right up against each other and line up the leaves, so you're not really going to see that by the time I have the fairies on top of it. And I'm just taking the 2 little fairies and I am facing them towards each other because that's the fairies in the fairy kisses. So we've got the leaves for the autumn wishes and the fairies for the fairy kisses. And it's just this might have worked better on a slimline, I'm not sure, but it all fits on the A2, so why not? And so far all of my cards have kind of got that autumny color vibe, I guess you'd put it. I think this month's kit has a lot of the autumn vibe going on. And now I'm just sparkling up the wings again. I mean, you've got fairies, you got to sparkle up their wings. It's like a law. And I'm sparkling up the hair a little bit. Now that's not a law, but why not? It looks good. So we get it all sparkled up here. And I'm going to pull in some of the little jewel dots instead of the enamel dots. And there's some like brownish ones that go really well on this card. I'm trying to think, what would a brown jewel, like a almost topaz, like a brown topaz almost, even though these are just plastic jewels. but we can pretend they're glass. I wouldn't go so far as pretending they're real gems, but you know, we can pretend glass at least, little paste. Now for card number 6, I've got this slimline card that I'm making. Now I am taking this stamp that came with the kit that's got like some stars and different things. It's supposed to look like fairy dust. And I want it to look like the little fairy is leaving a trail of fairy dust. And so I am going to heat emboss that in some gold. Now I use my little anti-static bag, which I remember for a change, and I am putting the card into my MISTI. Now this is your standard slimline that I cut using some paper cardstock that came with the kit in a lovely light blue. Now the little green mat you see there is a sticky mat that it's an older Cricut mat that I had that I accidentally bought the wrong size. I bought a 12 by 6, which didn't really work in my Cricut. And when I started seeing people using the sticky mats in their MISTI, I was trying to find one on Amazon, which is when it hit me that's, you know, stuffed away somewhere. I had these Cricut mats. And as you can see, it's not cut to where it should be. You know, I should have like measured twice and cut once, but no, I measured once and cut once and measured wrong. So, story of my life. So I'm using some gold embossing powder on this, and it's really pretty when you look at it, the little gold stars. And I'm just heat embossing this, and it does warp my card base a little bit, so I end up putting it through my Gemini Junior a little bit later to fix some of the warpage. So I've got some clouds here that I cut out using some cloud dies that I have in my stash. I think they're not Love from Lizi, Pink and Maine dies. And I just thought that this card stock is just reminds me of sky, so why not? So I used a little blue ink on the edges of all the clouds, and I used the sentiment, you leave a little sparkle wherever you go, which is just perfect with the little fairy dust that's all sparkly. And I'm going to pop up my little fairy, so I've got all the foam pieces on the back of her, and I'm just gluing the clouds all flat. I've got 5 of them, and I'm just kind of scattering them throughout what would be the sky here. And I like the way they end up looking. I just end up, this card, I think it's the perfect color for a sky. And I do pop up the sentiment as well, so I've got that on some foam tape along with my fairy. So you leave a little sparkle wherever you go. I was trying to be careful to make the sparkle, the fairy dust, look like it was a trail that the fairy was leaving, and not that she was being rude about it. I don't want to come out and say it, but I did not want it to look like it was coming out of certain parts of her anatomy. I wanted it to be a trail. So now I'm just putting a few enamel dots. I mixed it up and I put them in the left-hand corner. And that's card number 6. Now here are all my cards. Now that's not the first one I made, but the first and second got mixed up when I was putting them down here. Let me know what you think. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up or subscribe. That would really help me out. Bye-bye.